We all have to remember that we don't own these communities, we don't own these conversations, they're owned by the people who make them. Now, inside of Coke, there's a lot of questions around this. Who's going to participate? Who's going to respond to these conversations? Is that something that the folks in public relations or public affairs should do? Is that something that the marketing folks should do? Should what we call good answer at Coke, which is the customer service people? Who owns these relationships? And that's something that we're working on at Coke. It's requiring more alignment with marketing than traditionally public relations has ever had. We have to realize that these conversations require marketing resources. They also require the PR folks to do them. So I know that's a challenge that when I talk to my colleagues at other companies, they often hear. What's coming next? We've done, I think, a lot in the past year or so. We've got a couple new things that are happening. First off, we're about to launch a new corporate site at ko.com or the Coca-Cola Company.com. We're excited about this because it's going to really take a lot of things that we're talking about right now. Content from the Twitter stream, content from blogs and other places, third-party content, consumer-generated content, and actually embed it in almost real time on our homepage. We recognize that there are challenges and risks with that. I think Skittles learned a lot. We've found some great opportunities to leverage same type of ideas with the appropriate safeguards. But we really want people to recognize that each time they talk about us, they tweet about us, that is our brand. That is Coca-Cola. We're fortunate enough to be one of the most recognized brands because of the passion of other people. So plan on that in probably the next month or so. We've got a couple of new blog initiatives that we're about to launch. We're really excited about getting more and more people involved truly around the world in every one of the 206 countries where we do business. Music outreach is certainly a part of that blog initiative and kind of what we're doing with the whole Open Happiness platform with the song on iTunes and a couple of other things. Music is one of those things that ties us all as humans together, and it's such an emotional, passionate piece. We need to be having more conversations, both on Facebook, on our blogs, and our other properties. So we're trying to, again, empower those right people to be able to do that. And more purposeful edutainment, more creation of content where we can tell our stories. We can have other people tell our stories in more compassionate, more passionate, and maybe compassionate types of ways.
And I heard you already say about a resource constraint, but how much do you look at the conversations being held about Pepsi and your other competitors?
So yeah, absolutely. We watch what the guys up in New York I can't say that. I'm not in Atlanta right now. The guys up here are doing.
Question for you: how do you measure success? Is it with impressions, or are you tasked with driving revenue with your efforts?
Oh, great question. The ROI question. How do we demonstrate value, return on investment on what we are doing? I think it really kind of depends on the tool. Facebook is just nuts. We're adding 25,000 new people every day. There's really no way to be able to quantify that other than to say, hey, we have this opportunity, if we play our cards right, to have a conversation with, right now, I don't know what time it is, we might even be close to 3.5 million people. That is a great opportunity. With it comes also a huge risk that if we don't do this right, if we spam them, if we send them something that is inappropriate, and certainly within our organization we hear that. We hear that every day. Oh my goodness, we have 3.5 million people we can send something out to. Resist the temptation. Please step away from the send button. With other tools, with our blog, it's a little bit easier. But I think that is one of the biggest challenges we have. The great news about the social digital space is it's relatively cheap, relatively speaking. If I could just get the budget for one American Idol 30-second ad, that could pay for pretty much everything I want to do for 16 months. So it makes it a little bit easier, but I think that's a great question, and I think it's something that we'd love to hear more thoughts and leadership from, whether it's Manning or other agencies, because it's a great question. I wish I had an answer for it.
How do you fit into the bigger operation and the bigger media budget and all the rest of that?
My budget comes out of public affairs and corporate communications. So my budget comes out of PR rather than marketing, which means I have a few less zeros after my budget. it'll be interesting to see if that changes. And I don't think that's just necessarily true for Coca-Cola, but other companies. Where does all this come out of? A, where does the budget come out of it? But also, where does the ownership of social media come? Is it a PR directed, or is it marketing directed, or is it some sort of hybrid? And I think that's generally kind of what the consensus is right now.
And the social media monitoring, how do you pull substantive mentions from every single mention of Coke?
Andy, great question. About 97% of the chatter that I talked about up there is what we call casual references. It's someone on their Facebook page saying, you know, I'm sitting here drinking a Diet Coke. So yeah, we're really looking for the analytical tools that can help filter out those great references. We love that. Hey, keep on using those words, but we've got to pull out, how do we compare and contrast that conversation to something that's more legitimate, someone who's celebrating that, you know, we just bought a new outdoor board for their high school football team, or someone who has a question about health and wellness and obesity. That's really, I think, where the analytics and the monitoring value and the quality of the different tools and services starts to kind of rise to the surface.
3.5 million followers on Facebook, or fans on Facebook, is a phenomenal number. But I'm wondering if you have a sense how many people just kind of click the button once to become a fan and never come back, and then what your larger strategy is in terms of publishing content or kind of paying off that brand loyalty. How do you get people coming back to the page?
Great question. We are finding, certainly there are a lot of people who have just kind of click that fan and don't come back. The way that we're watching and analyzing this, and I can't share these numbers because they're still proprietary, is when we put content up. When Michael and Dusty put up a video, and by the way, the video they put up is latest video is just hilarious. We watch click-throughs on that. We are finding, interestingly enough, that when Michael and Dusty, create content, we see a certain level of click-through and a certain type of click-through. When we put up content, totally different. It's making us realize and recognize that in some cases people don't want to hear necessarily from us. They'd rather hear from other fans and other colleagues, and that's why that third-party credibility, making sure that the message is owned by somebody other than the Coca-Cola company, is so critical, I think, to our success in the social media space.
It's one thing to get this, you know, this phenomenal wave of public comment and cause and everything, but how do you bring that to life as you, Adam, small PR team, as I live in your shoes in the same place? How do you bring that to life inside of Coca-Cola, the company, and make it actionable so that it actually has an effect back to your public?
I think that is the nut we're trying to crack right now. I really see it as what I would love to have, and again, monitoring that first part, the R review piece is so critical to this, is I want to have almost like an assignment editor in a broadcast or a journalistic sense. The person who sits there, they read all the wire releases, i.e. blog posts and tweets that come in, you know, off the fax machine. They then go out and they assign that to the reporters, and they say, okay, here's a question from a mom who's questioning, you know, the caloric content of this product. Okay, well, we have an MD who's also a mom who's in our science group. Okay, you're going to run with that. Here's a question about Olympic sponsorship. Okay, sports team. But I think that is really the secret for us, is getting more assignment editors all around the world who are culturally sensitive, who can recognize, A, is this a legitimate question? Does that person that I'm about to respond to have influence or authority? And then do it. That's the way, I think, to make it actionable.
Are there things you're doing today, and do you see your strategy evolving into more of a mobile play beyond maybe just text messaging? But do you have kind of a view of that?
Our marketing folks are doing a lot of things. Sprite is our brand, is our mobile brand that we're testing and trying a lot of things. We've got a couple of iPhone apps out there right now, 3 of them that we're trying out. I truly believe, and this is just Adam speaking, that the next evolution of the iPhone, which I think a lot of us have heard, is probably going to have a video camera on the front, which makes me start to think that people are no longer going to be tweeting 144 characters. Rather than tweet, I'm here at Lenox Mall in Atlanta, do you like this pair of jeans or this? They're going to pop up their iPhone, they're going to hit the button, it's going to start recording. What do you think? Do you like this better or this better? And then send that. I think that's truly the next big thing. And I think taking part in those types of conversations is really going to be key. Mobile is huge. Mobile is where all this is going. And I think, you know, the whole idea of what a blog is and what a social media community is going to change as it becomes more what we call brand in the hand, which is the mobile device.
All right. Thank you very much, yeah.